and welcome back to Tiffany Talks Tarot. Today we start our adventure on the court cards. I am not going to do the court cards separately like I've done each one of the major arcana and each one of the minor arcana, because I think it just makes more sense to treat them as a family and not really split them up. Now, court cards are every tarot reader's worst nightmare. It's like, is it a person? Is it a situation? Is it a part of myself? Is it a superhero? It's basically all of the above and sometimes none of the above. And it's quite interesting how it throws us, because if you think of the major arcana or the minor arcana, they have a lot more meanings than maybe the court cards do. But I think it's because the court cards are pictured as people that it can sometimes throw us. But if we think about our relationships in life, whether it's a relationship with someone outside of ourselves or our own self, someone inside of ourselves that we have to embrace a way of being, for instance, and usually that's shown to us through a relationship on the outside, yes? So those relationships teach us how to be. And so with the court cards, the most important thing is seeing what they are bringing is a message of some way of being, first and foremost, whether that's through a situation or another person. It's kind of here nor there in a way. The most important thing is what it's asking you to bring forth from yourself. However, what I'm going to do for ease of learning is I'm going to go through the court cards as a family and talk about what they represent as well. And you'll understand if I just get going. So I'll just get going, okay? So basically, let's start with the page. Now, all pages have the same energy as aces. So really what you're seeing here is the Ace of Swords, for instance. Yes? All pages also represent aspects of the Fool, because what you're looking at in Aces, Pages and the Fool is that brand new energy, that new feeling of youth and optimism and ignorance or innocence, and all of those things that come with it. So what you have with the Page of Swords is a new idea or a new message, a new piece of news, because pages were also messengers. Okay, so the pages are messengers. Now, if they do represent a person, they would represent someone who is immature, not necessarily a child, but pages are children, but also it could represent an immature person or an immature way of being. Now, if we look at the Page of Swords in particular, what we're seeing as a person or as a child that is a typical Page of Swords is a soul that's come in to learn about the element of air. Now, they might be an air sign, they might be Gemini, they might be Libra, they might be Aquarius, or it may just be that they have a lot of air going on in their chart, okay? And so in a reading, I would never really say the star sign. I would just describe the qualities, and you'll get that no to a yes just by describing the qualities, because they may not necessarily be that zodiac sign. So this Page of Swords, this is a child that's come in to learn about the power of the mind, and the mind is represented here by the sword. And as you can see, it's quite big for such a little kid to be trying to master. No wonder he feels unsafe, which you can see in the picture of the card. You know, the ground is all kind of up in the air, as is he, and his stance, you know, he's just like on guard, you know, he's so anxious and his head is in the clouds and he's all wispy and agile and ready to move at anything. So yes, he's a fast child. He probably doesn't sit still. He's probably incredibly agitated. And you know, they are the questionable ones. When I say that, I mean all children go through that phase of going, why? I mean, I remember like driving my mother insane with that. But you've got this times quadruple in the Page of Swords. You know, you've got the really, really, really inquisitive mind. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get knowledge, because knowledge for them is security. It helps them to know how to yield the power of the mind or the sword, because it's really scary having that in your possession, having something so powerful and not really knowing how to handle it. So as we're going to say he, just for the sake of it can be male or female. Okay, so as he grows up, we'll have him at university age here. Okay, knights are, if we look at it in the meaning way, like youthful people under 40. Although I don't tend to look at it that way. I think it's all to do with maturity, is all to do with how one is being rather than age. So basically, let's just, for ease, take this as the person that's got into university. They're probably studying law or science or to become a doctor, something that uses the power of the mind and the perception. And for the ease of teaching you about this, I am going to say that he's in law school, okay? And this is him out on a rally, yeah? This is him going out there and protesting, because what's happened is he's acquired some knowledge and he's so desperate to kind of have this thing under his control, have this power of this sword under his control, that, you know, it's like he'll just cling to it. So unfortunately, I can't help but see, I mean, this is not necessarily unfortunate, actually. It's something that really helps understanding of relationships. You know, but I did know an Aquarian child, no, a Libra child, who was very inquisitive, and then when they grew up to be a youth, they were incredibly opinionated. So opinionated, unfortunately, it went down the mental health route in the end. But, you know, this is, I remember that he was so like convinced that he was right and everything else was wrong, because I really feel he was very scared of everything that was going on in his head. And so, you know, this is typical kind of like, I must be in control kind of feeling that you get here with the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords brings opportunities. All knights bring opportunities. And that could be the opportunity to stand in your truth, to have the courage of your convictions, but also to really maybe examine your convictions. Do they hold up? Do they stand up? Why are you so strong with them? All of those things. It's an opportunity to really get clear about how your mind makes you who you are. Okay, so then we go into the parents, and what we have here is the Queen of Swords. You can see that she looks very matriarchal, could be like that Victorian headmistress, you know. You really wouldn't want to cross her, would you? I mean, it's like, you dare to break the rules? Come here, child, off with your head. You know, it's almost like Alice in Wonderland stuff there going on, isn't it? Bless her, you know, she's had to learn to be formidable. She's had the difficult past. She's had the disappointments in life. She's had the hard way of learning things. She's the divorcee. She's the widow. She has overcome all of this, not seeing clearly in the clouds, and now her vision is razor sharp. She doesn't suffer fools gladly. She is an incredible friend to have and a terrible enemy to make. Very, very into education. So, you know, she's bound to be quite strict with her children, yeah, here, you know, and value their education, maybe more than giving them cuddles or things along those lines, she is the least maternal of the court cards. My mum, bless her, she is a typical Queen of Swords. She is Gemini with Gemini rising. She brought me up as a single parent, so she's been divorced. She's also been widowed. You know, her mind is very, it just keeps going, it keeps going. And she's an incredibly cultured lady, really intelligent and she's a teacher and a jack of all trades at the same time, being Gemini. She really does fit her traits well. So yes, that's the type of mother you have in the Queen of Swords. So can be sharp-tongued, can be critical, but you would think judgmental too, although I have to say my mum has always been really proud of who I am, and that's lovely. So there's also that double-edged sword of, standing by you. Yeah, standing by you for what you believe in as well. One or the other, usually with the Queen of Swords. And it depends on what day, maybe too, sometimes. Okay, so then we move on to the father. The father may be a lawyer. Let's say that he's a lawyer, yes. And he's learnt the power of words. He's learnt when to shut up, whereas these two tend to shout their mouths off or not stop talking, or, you know, he's learnt, look at his sword, it's a little bit more to the side. He's a little bit more, I'll give you space. Almost I'll give you space to hang yourself kind of feeling, but I'll give you space. You know, I won't tell you what I think of you. I won't judge you. I won't give you my opinions. I will reel you in. I will take in all the information you give me before I give you anything back. And when you do get something back, it's likely to be very depersonalized and very professional and very information based, and definitely not emotional. Okay, so that is the court cards, the sword family. Queens represent community, so whatever the message is here, it's something to do with community. And kings represent business, but kings also represent the maturation of that journey of learning how to harness that element. So if we go back to the page, where the page was basically saying, yeah, I don't know how to handle all this energy in my head. When we've got to the king, it's like, I am the master of my mind. I meditate for 2 hours a day. I am a black belt in martial arts. I am disciplined, and I discipline the mind, and he's really cracked it. Okay, so that's the sword cards. And I look forward to seeing you on the cups, which I'm going to do next. And I hope that I get to speak to you or have some contact with you. If you're interested in learning how the tarot can actually help you to connect deeper with your spirituality. So I'm not talking about readings. I'm talking about walking with the energies, with the elements and the archetypes so deeply for 6 months that you come out the other side incredibly true to who you are. And yeah, you'll have learned tarot along the way to a point where you can be of the standard of a professional reader. But that's like this much compared to how much goes on the journey. So if you're interested in knowing more, there's a little form in the description box below the video, below the YouTube. Okay, so just fill that in, and we can explore more together. Fascinating stuff. Take care. Bye for now.